It shakes as I gain more height and girth. I seem to make such a mess inside this town, crashing and devouring every bloody damn.
And welcome today to the Incredible Shrinking Show, starring me, Giantess Pearl, my pet Polly, and our lovely guest, Jess, the not still hot
Thanks for
mess,
having
right? So yeah, we again won't be doing any news for today because news is poo, and we're around it too much, and that's that. So, we'll go ahead and jump into the interview and ask you about some of your hobbies.
My hobbies mostly consist of video games. I'm a huge geek, so I like video games, anime, manga, stuff like that. But I also do a lot of writing on the side. A lot of people will know that who know, my work and stuff. I do, obviously stuff for the science community as well as, just my own creative writing, that kind of thing. I also do a lot of D&D. I'm a dungeon master for a couple games as well as I play in it, with my friends. I live on the West Coast, so I come from the East Coast. So a lot of my friends are still on the East Coast, so it's a good way that we use that as a way to keep in touch and have something every week that we hang out and talk about. And then also I play tennis.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
What edition of D&D do you play?
We usually play 5.
Of course, everyone plays 5.
I'm really big 5. I played almost all of them. I didn't play 3rd edition. But I played 3.5, 4, 5. The only one I really didn't like, I didn't like 4 very much. But 5 is a lot more focused on like the role play as opposed to like the rules. And I don't like dealing with all the, BS numbers and stuff like that. I mean, D&D is always going to be a numbers game, but I don't like focusing on it too much. I care more about like character development and doing cool stuff and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I tried 5th edition once before. This is whenever it first came out, so I don't know if things have changed since then. I thought there had been like updated versions by now, but there was like a lot of rules, so it was like, I don't know, there's just like pages and pages of content that I had to like know about, and I'm like, all these specialties and stuff, and I was so used to 1st and 2nd edition, which I love a lot because I feel like there's more open-ended things that you can do.
Yeah.
And so it's more basic. It is. I understand that, but
no, it's funny. So I never played 2nd edition, but I think I did a couple times play 1st edition, and that was crazy going back and playing like the original rule set. You know what I mean? Like it was very much open-ended. The nice thing about D&D, no matter what you're playing, is that you can always do something like new or off the wall, or like you don't have to exactly go by the rules if that's not what your DM wants. You know what I mean? Like it's so open, you can do whatever you want.
So long as you have a good DM.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's not like someone who's like a stickler for the rules, you know what I mean?
Well, I remember this one time we have this place in town called Pegasus Loft, and they would do D&D campaigns like every Sunday, so we would go and play D&D with these strangers, which I wasn't used to because we always played with a family. It was like my mom, dad, sister, my cousins. Sometimes we'd have a friend come by and play with us. So anyways, playing D&D with this complete stranger, and my goodness, he was so power hungry that he literally was like, okay, my NPC will magically get a dragon so long as I don't roll a 20 on a 20-sided dice. Rolls it, obviously not a 20. And I was like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? That's not fair. Like,
playing with those kind of players is not fun.
No.
You gotta have a good group that's all kind of like, jives together and like enjoys playing with each other, not just like someone who's like, I want to be the best, I want to win.
Right. So you play with friends that you've had for a while then?
Yes, yeah. Friends from like high school, college,
Oh, that's super awesome that y'all been able to continue it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's like I said, it's a great way to keep in touch with people.
So do y'all do it just via Skype or what?
No, there's a website called Roll20. Yeah, and actually it's funny. So one of my friends, Perspective Shift, on Twitter, he's also a writer, but then he has done some online role plays through Roll20, dealing with size stuff. So it's really fun
really?
to see him. Yeah, it's really fun to see him DM that stuff because he's good at it. So.
Oh my god, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I
so
want to do that.
Possibility.
It's been so long since I played D&D. It makes me sad. Okay, I know we talked a lot about D&D, but I know there's a lot of size changers out there that likes D&D. In fact, Giantess Eliana, she just I hope I said her name right. And she's going to be on the show hopefully on Wednesday of this week. But she had a Advanced Dungeons & Dragons t-shirt on. Very vintagey.
Oh,
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, bonus points to you, Missy. That is super awesome. Whenever a giantess is hot and nerdy, like, it's ultra win. Combo. Right? So, next question. What's your favorite type of music? And, like, maybe a couple of your favorite bands or something.
It's funny because I knew you were going to add on some of your favorite bands, and it's actually really hard for me to say that because I'm not usually the kind of person who likes, I don't follow specific bands. What I do basically is I have two types of music that I really like. I like chill lo-fi, and I like any kind of like upbeat, like anything that makes me want to dance or like puts me in a good mood, that kind of thing. Okay. So what I do is I have two playlists on Spotify, and I just put them on like radio so that it constantly feeds me new stuff. And anytime I hear something that I really like, I'll just add it to the playlist. So I just have like a playlist of hundreds of songs that all have like the same kind of vibe. So that then if I'm in a certain mood, I just put on that playlist, and then like I'm good.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's cohesive eclecticism at its finest.
Well, yeah, and like the thing is that music's really important to me because it helps a lot with inspiration. Like if I'm writing something angry, I'll want to listen to an angry song, or if I'm writing something happy, I want to listen to something happy. So the music helps inspire whatever I'm writing, because otherwise, like if I'm writing a certain, if I'm like writing something that's supposed to be like an action scene, but I'm listening to chill music, I'm not like in the mood to like do that kind of writing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. Yeah, music is definitely impactful for all creators, really. We have a lot to thank musicians for.
I mean, it's like they help inspire, and whenever I hear a song, a lot of the time I'll actually think of like a scene that could go well with that song. So that's why a lot of the time I like a lot of video game or anime music, because the music written for those things are meant to go with either certain types of scenes or like, give you a certain feeling.
Right.
So those tend to work really well.
That's super awesome. Hey, have you ever thought about doing a specific playlist to listen to while reading the story?
No, I actually haven't. That's actually really, really interesting. Like making a playlist specifically, like, hey, at this point in the story, listen to this song or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I haven't thought of that, but I do like that idea.
Yeah, that might make it, I don't know, exciting. I mean, I'm sure it's already exciting, the story, but I don't know.
Well, hopefully.
Gives it another depth to it.
And actually, going back real quick to D&D, like that also helps with when you're doing a certain scene for like a game you're running. If you play a song to go with the scene, it helps your players feel a certain thing during that scene, as opposed to just like, complete silence. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Okay, it's funny that you said that. My God, now I want to. I'll have to link it to you after the show. But a long time ago, I actually recorded myself playing D&D with my friends. I'm annoying as shit in the video. I'm like just
Okay.
like awful, like 16-year-old Pearl, just trash. But in the video, my friend who's DMing at the time, he had Final Fantasy like fighting music for every time we would battle, but he would just bust that on loop, and like, so I mean, if anyone who hasn't played D&D, battles are not like a 5-minute shindig. Battles can last for like hours, depending on how many people you're fighting. Yeah, so that was my experience with music in D&D, but I see how it could be highly effective. It's just it reminded me of that.
Just gotta have a good, good DM, good music.
I actually DM'd before. I added a talent list, so you would roll percentile. So I had a list of, for those who don't know D&D, I had a list of 100 different talents you could have. You roll 100-sided, not literally 100-sided, unless you have one, but those are silly looking in my opinion. They look like a golf ball. Have you ever had a true 100-sided
Yes.
dice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're
Yeah,
cool.
it looks ridiculous. I mean, but it's cool though.
Yeah. It's good to have in your collection as a D&D fan. Anyways, you roll percentile and you get one of those talents. But I put some like ridiculous talents in it, and it was actually an idea based off of the Piers Anthony series, the Xanth series. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not. But like one of my at the time, my brother-in-law, he rolled that he could change anything into any color. So like at level 1,
wow.
it's kind of a like a pussy talent to have. Like he's like, what the hell can I? Okay, I turn this glass of orange juice to green, and like, so that's what I told him is like, just push yourself in creativity, and you can find a way to like use it to your advantage. I don't know why we're on this shindig. I'm sorry. I'm on a rant or something.
No,
Anyways,
it's okay.
so the party, I was DMing at the time, so the party was confronted by a group of orcs. But before they saw our players, he like went over to where they were standing and just like, this is higher level. Granted, he's like level 3 or 4, and he like touched the grass and made it all hot pink. So like all of the orcs like freaked out, and then they gained advantage for that round.
Yeah.
So it was just silly.
The best thing is using like really low level spells and doing like something super creative with it. In one of my recent games, I have a spell that's just called like, I think it's like Dancing Lights or something.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a level 1 cantrip spell, but I used it by saying that I wanted to make them appear in front of someone's face. So basically just blinding them and making it really hard for them to see. And it felt so good to like do something really stupid but actually helpful with like, really low level spells. So yeah, I mean it's all about creativity and stuff. Which, to tie this in back into like the size community, I think it's really important for people to like have fun and have like explore their creative ideas, and sometimes it can be hard not to fall into the stereotypical tropes we always see. So whenever you can do something out of the box, I think people always like that.
Yeah. Actually, now I want to play D&D again. Thanks.
You should. I'm glad I could help inspire that.
I've got a ton of manuals, monster manuals, player handbooks, different like Fiend Folly is one of them that I have. They're all old first and second edition books. I can take a picture
No, it's
later.
really funny. That reminds me, I totally forgot about this. I used to have a monster manual when I was younger, and I really liked looking at the monster section that had all the different height sizes and stuff. And one of them was a giant, and so I, of course, always enjoyed going back to those pages.
I'm so glad that you shared that, because I was in the same fucking boat. My parents played D&D before we ever did. I started playing like when I was 11 years old. So prior to that, the monster manuals that was my shit. Like, I loved it because it was like a step into like kind of erotic stuff. With some of the characters.
It's a baby toe.
Huh?
It's a baby toe. It's a baby toe step into the water.
Yep. Because, I mean, I literally would bookmark. I would sit there and bookmark every single picture that had a female hybrid. I'm shit you not. And I'm like, these are my favorites, Mommy.
And she's like, wow, that's really great, honey.
Yeah, she's like, there's a lot of giants bookmarked and a titan. Okay. I'm like, yeah. Which, sadly, like, this is something I was very sad about growing up, is if you've ever seen a monster manual from original first edition, most of the pictures that they have, excuse me, for all the giants are ugly, of course, because they hate us, except for the cloud giants. Those were the ones that were like, all the other ones were like ugly and stupid, except for cloud giants. They're like super duper smart. And like chaotic good or something. Yeah, so those were my favorite giants to choose from. But then I was like, well, they're not as tall as this giant over here. I'm like, I guess I'll have to make do.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Some good memories.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Of course.
So, let's go ahead and educate viewers at home that don't know you as to what your name is online on Twitter. Because you are Jess, but you are not Jessie.
No, I'm not. So I have two kind of accounts on Twitter, at least. So the main thing I'm known for is Man Squishers, which I actually have a shirt here for.
Yeah, yay!
That's the logo, and so that's my main Twitter account is Man Squishers, and then my alt account, which is kind of like my personal account, is Squished Jess. So most people know me by Jess, or some even call me Jessie. It just kind of ended up working out because that's kind of how I was first introduced, was through my character Jessie. So I just kind of carried that over as being, Jess. And yeah, Man Squishers is basically a universe that I created that is a biker bar run by Jessie, among a wide variety of other characters. And it's a place where you can go and you can pay to be shrunk and then, have size shenanigans within the bar. It's just... The reason why I came up with it was because for like a decade or however long, I've always been like in the size community, but I've been just kind of a lurker, just like absorbing content and then maybe like chatting with a couple of people, but in general just kind of doing my own thing. And eventually I realized that I really wanted to do something where I could help contribute back to the community and like create something. But I'm not an artist, but I am a writer. So I thought I could kind of do something with both of those things where, okay, so I write stories, then I commission people in the community to do art of those stories or of scenarios that, I think of, and then I write a story based on the art that they do. So it's funny because a lot of people say that some of the compliments I've gotten is that my short stories go well with the art, and that's because I don't actually write my stories before the art. I get the commission, I see the art, and then I write it based on that. So I would hope it goes well. But it's been a lot of fun because so originally the idea was mostly to, like I said, give back to the community and create something. But then also, I thought this would be a great way to help support size artists because, you know, it helps, you know, me because I get content and I get to um, as much as I hate to say it, like while I love writing, I don't. I think that people are more interested in seeing art than they are in reading stories. I think there's a lot more effort in reading stories than there is in just kind of looking at an image and being like, oh, I like that. That being said, you know, there's still like a good, plenty of people still like stories. But I think that's why I thought it'd be best to combine the two. And so through doing my content, I help support artists by buying their commissions, and you know, it's just kind of like a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've loved a lot of the artists that I've worked with. I've made friends through, you know, doing what I do. Yeah, and then so originally I only had the Man Squishers account. I do have DeviantArt and Twitter, but then I realized that I didn't like the idea of like the when I post content for the ManSquishers account, it's meant to be coming from Jesse, as if like, you know, the biker bar is like a real place.
Yeah.
And before that, I would mix those posts with like my own like interests because like I personally like being small. So like it would be weird to like have Jessie doing her thing and then me posting my stuff on the same account.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna separate it. So the Man Squishers account is only for that stuff, and then my personal account is like where I can post what I like and that whole thing. So that then it's also easier for people to look at the account, like look through the art and stories and stuff like that. It doesn't get lost in all the other posts. So people can follow me if they want and they like me personally, but if they don't really like care about the author and they just want to focus on like the Man Squishers stuff, then they can do that, and that's totally great.
Yes, very smart. You're giving a lot of insight for other people who might be starting as creators online. I have to say, whenever I saw the biker bar for Jesse, I thought that was pretty fucking amazing. I'd never seen someone do something like that. The fact that you went out and did commission artists to do art for the projects. And then, because I was very confused at first. I was like, is he doing that art? And then I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool, like, really great idea, because, I've got friends that are, they're really good at writing, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, most people are visual people, and you're right, it's so easy to just look at something. It takes, like, a second, for
to like absorb it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've always loved good stories. It's more immersive and.
I mean, if you can have the best of both worlds, then why not? And me personally, also, I actually. So if I'm being lazy, then like looking at art is like probably the best way. But then at the same time, there are times where I'm actually like really in the mood for a story because the scenario that goes into the content is like what I really care about, like the either emotions of a character or like why they're in that situation, that kind of thing. So my favorite actually, like just looking at art is like great, but like what really elevates it for me is when I love it when people on Twitter or DeviantArt or whatever, when they post like an image and then they have like a short, even like a 4 or 5 sentence little snippet that goes along with it to like explain like what's going on in the art and like why is this happening and that whole thing. I think it really just makes it more engaging and interesting, and then makes you think, oh man, I really like that situation. Like maybe I could do something like that, or it just makes you start thinking more as opposed to just looking at a random piece of art and just being like, oh yeah, that looks nice.
That's awesome. And real quick, don't you have a Patreon?
Yes, yeah, I do.
Yeah, so go ahead and plug that in. Well, you have the opportunity.
No, I mean, yeah, if you want to go on to Man Squishers Patreon, you can check it out there. Basically, you get rewards for just, even for like $1, you get access to the Discord. We have a Patreon exclusive Discord, and it's a lot of fun talking with people on there. Most of the time, like I like a section where it's just like all of us talking like normal, and then I have other sections where it's like more like me, playing as my characters and that whole thing. So that's always enjoyable. And then also, if you donate $5 or more a month, you actually get access to all the, I basically have a giant library of all of the content that I've done. It's like basically a library of all the art I've commissioned, as well as you get some sneak peeks into works in progress from artists as stuff comes out, and then also into new projects coming up. And I'm sure I'll mention that later. But I have a very exciting project that I'm working on, and I'm actually going to reveal it here. So I've never talked about it, so it'll be exciting. But I look forward to being able to show people more in the next month or two.
That's awesome. Heck to the yeah. Real quick, so let's go ahead and jump into so what got you into size changing? Do you remember your first memory?
It's really hard to remember exactly what my first memories were. But I would say one of the first things I recall is when I was in, I think, middle school or something. They would always have in some of the classrooms like a small shelf of books, and one of them was a Choose Your Own Adventure, and it was the whole Choose Your Own Adventure was about shrinking. So and I didn't know why I was interested in it. I just knew that almost every day I would take that book out and read through that, even though I knew all the paths and all the
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the earliest one I remember. But like I said, I didn't know why I was so interested.
Oh my god, this is killing me. In a great way.
Yeah.
There's been several things that we've tapped on that are very similar. I used to love certain Choose Your Own Adventure books that had size changing in them as well. One of them was a Goosebumps book, where it's peanut butter and jelly that's mutated or something. It's in the fridge and it's all nasty. One of them makes you shrink, one of them makes you grow. So obviously, I read the hell out of that book.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But there was a couple of D&D Choose Your Own Adventure books that were size changing themes. So I'm curious.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've got some on my bookshelf that I treasure, obviously. So which one? Do you remember what book it was exactly? Who wrote it or?
I wish I did. The only thing I remember what the scenario was. I remember that you somehow got shrunk outside. And you were in the grass or something, and someone could find you. You could go into a jar. It was just. I remember snippets, but I don't remember if. I recall the cover of it because I remember it was a boy kind of lost in grass, really tall grass. But yeah, I don't remember the name or anything of it. I just remember little things.
Well, maybe someone listening from home will be able to find out
who knows?
What it is. That is so awesome. Yeah. You know what's crazy though? Whoever wrote that book, I'm pretty sure they had no idea that they would be affecting a certain group of people that would absolutely fall in love with size changing. So it's always nice to experience these beacons of light, whether they realized it was going to become that or not.
And you know what? I feel nowadays, then again, it's not like I watch cartoons all the time, so I could be wrong. Maybe there is plenty still out there. But I remember, especially when we were younger, there was some fixation with cartoons, and there was always a shrinking episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In so many cartoons, and I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing that was
a thing.
Always had,
it was a trope. Everyone had to do it.
one of the tropes that they would do at some point, you know?
Oh yeah. One of my favorites is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original animated series.
Yes. Yep.
There's two actually. There's one where the turtles shrink down. That one's really great. But the other one, I don't know if you've seen it. It's April's. Huh?
I don't know if I've seen the second one. I've seen the first one.
Oh, April's best friend, the real nerdy chick with the glasses. She ends up growing in an episode.
Okay,
Yep. And my main complaint was like, why can't she be hot and nerdy? This is my idea as a kid. I was a weird kid. My priorities were very much elsewhere.
Okay. I liked her though. Like I know that she was meant to be like nerdy, and she had this voice, and like I don't know, she was cute.
Yeah, I mean a little. Yeah, the voice. Maybe that's what did me in.
Yeah, no, it was.
Sometimes voices will like kill it for me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And do you want to tell us some of your personal favorite aspects of size changing?
Sure. So I know I'll try to go more into it, but I know this is definitely a very cliche answer, but the power dynamic is like my favorite thing by far. I think it's a lot about like, so for example, like a lot of the stuff that I'm into is like can be seen as either like cruel or end in like something fatal. But the thing though is the way that I see it is a lot of the like scenes and scenarios and stuff. It's more about like the symbolism and like meaning behind the scenes as opposed to like
and
what's
metaphors.
actually happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the metaphors. So like for example, like in real life, would I actually want to get crushed or eaten or whatever? Probably not. But at the same time, though, it's more the aspect of, the idea of wholly giving yourself to someone else and being in that position where they have so much control over you. I think that's just what really appeals to people as opposed to the physical, things happening in the scene. It's more about what it means.
Yeah. I completely agree. Oh.
Yeah.
There's my cat, Chubby, right here.
Yeah.
He's a cutie.
I noticed it earlier. I was going to say something, but I'm like, I was in the middle of something. I was like, I'll say something later.
That's my Chubby Bubby. He's so cute. Chubby. You want to ignore me? Chubby. Yep. He's like, shut the fuck up, yo.
So, but by the way, you can still see me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just make it cool.
Yeah. And what's your least favorite fetish? And every episode, I'll say this. If this happens to be your favorite fetish, calm down. It's okay. Everyone likes something different. We just want to know what if there is a sub-fetish that you're like, no thanks. Just like, you politely walk out of the room. Like, I don't want to see this.
Again, I think this is pretty obvious, and I'll reiterate what you just said. I have nothing against people who like this stuff. It's just, not for me. Any of the water sports or gross, kind of stereotypically gross aspects of that kind of stuff. That's not really for me. You know what I mean? And it's really unfortunate because sometimes the way Twitter crops things is how you'll see the face of someone or the top half of someone, and you'll be like, oh, this is a nice image, and when you click on it and it shows you the bottom half, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I didn't want to see that.
That's me on the daily on Twitter, and it's no offense to anybody. They're all cool. It's just sometimes there's certain things I don't want to see in a day, but.
And it's really funny because also before I used to be very adverse to giant content. That's just not for me. You know what I mean? I'm more into the giantess stuff. Mm-hmm. But because I've become friends with other people who are into it, and then also I've every now and then done stuff with myself as being a giant and stuff like that. Now when I see it, I'm not I'm not repulsed or anything. I just see it, I'm like, oh, I appreciate that. Okay, and then I move on. It's more of admiring, rather than anything else. So
that's a great mentality to have.
I've noticed that the more I've been in the community, you always learn new things about yourself. So, for example, had you asked me that same question, like my first year or two in the community, I would have said Boar was like the worst. Like I just thought it was like yeah I know I thought it's a you'll feel good after I say it. Because to me I was like getting eaten like what kind of what like doesn't make any sense. But then the more I consumed that content and I understood yeah right hey you're probably part of it so
Yay!
I blame you.
Yay!
But like I understood like the meaning behind it, and also like I thought more about like actually how it would feel with like the texture of like being in a mouth and stuff like that. Like just thinking about what it actually entails, as opposed to just thinking like eating. Like I don't understand, but like thinking more about the scenario and like I said, the metaphor and stuff. And now it's like my second favorite thing. So it went from like I was grossed out by it to being
Oh my god, that is amazing.
almost on point with number one. You know what I mean? Like so.
That is so awesome. Yay! You've been converted.
I have. And okay, likewise, my absolute favorite thing. I have two friends, and if I don't know if they'll watch this, but if they do, I know who they are. I with my content, I've converted them onto the foot fetish side of things.
Ah.
And before they were like not into it at all. But then because of my content and Jesse and stuff, they got really into it. And now it's like, up there. And it makes me so happy.
Yeah, you should be very proud. We should have like micro
right?
awards to give out to people who are like converting people to the dark side.
Oh my god, yes, I would love that.
It's so awesome.
It especially also works on brand for me because Jessie is a very confident character and she loves anything that gives her an ego boost. So hearing someone say that she affected them in that way just would make her very smug and happy.
Oh
so
yeah.
I love that when I hear that I'm like, good. That's what I want. That's why I'm here.
That's so awesome. Hey, real quick about Jessie, do you treat her as like a female persona of yourself? Like a female equivalency?
Yeah. So that was part of the reason why I made her the way I did is she's almost an idealized version of myself, and then also a giantess. So I incorporated a lot of aspects of her about myself. Some of the ones being she's Mexican. I'm actually half Mexican. So I wanted to poke that in. And also it's very I wouldn't personally feel comfortable writing, for example, if my main character or even for example, most of my characters are either Latina or they're white, and that's like it. And the only reason why that is because I personally wouldn't feel comfortable writing like an Indian character because I don't know anything about those cultures. So I would feel it wouldn't be right for me to try to pretend that I know anything about those kinds of people or that culture. So I write things that I know about, and yeah, another example is Jessie has those white streaks in her hair. And while obviously you can see I don't have white streaks, but my family does gray very early. So in my hair I have some like just white strands, and then also I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but here on my right here. White.
Yep.
And so I wanted to incorporate something like that into her character, and I've had people say that it makes her a lot more distinguishable having the like thick, white stripes. So I really like that about her character, and then her personality is like basically like. So I'm a hopeless romantic, so when I can be, I like being kind of like floaty and that kind of thing, but I'm not like super confident like her and all that. I can be, like I like certain things about myself and I know what I'm good at, but I'm not always confident. So I made sure her personality was like she's always confident and she's very outgoing and she always likes to party and that kind of thing. And so, like I said, yeah, she's just almost an idealized version of myself. And then actually, my other characters are basically aspects of the fetish that I really enjoy. So, for example, my character Kim, she's like a very gentle soul. So she is kind of the gentle character, but also I love unaware scenarios. So she's very oblivious.
Me too.
So a lot of the unaware scenarios go to her because she doesn't really pay attention to where she's going or what she's doing and stuff like that. And she can be very clumsy and airheaded, and so that's why that happens. Another character, Rowena, she is all about she loves to eat, so she eats as much as she can. So she's kind of more of my like vor interests, and she's kind of like a seductress. So she likes to convince people to like let her have them and that whole thing. And then one of my other characters, Rachel, she's very cruel because she thinks that like all these people come into this biker bar just to like kind of get their kicks. She views them as like perverts and stuff, and so she has no problem with like being more cruel to them. So all of my characters, I mean, those are my main four, but I have so many others, and all of them have something to do with just me thinking like, okay, in my universe, I have a need for this kind of character who focuses on this kind of thing. So I think it allows my universe to have a little bit of something for everyone, so that even if you're not interested in one character or one type of thing, you might find someone else that pertains to your interest.
Right. Yeah, it's a very well-rounded crew of ladies you got.
Thank you. That's what I want.
Don't get any ideas. I'm just kidding.
Hey, we always need more fans,
Oh, yeah.
always needing new customers to come into the bar.
So next on the list is do you want to give a shout out to some of your favorite creators?
Yes, I wrote out a couple, and I have like I say a couple because there's like I could literally just go on and on and on.
Yeah.
I have so many friends in the size community, but then also like a lot of people who I talk with every now and then, or I've commissioned, and I just like really admire their stuff. Some just real quick, so here are some artists: Spitty, on Kinky, Howl DZ. I don't really know exactly how to pronounce that name. Gayer Art, he's the one who does the Totally series. He's a great artist. MS Paint GTS and Toko Giantsu. I actually work a lot with Toko, and we're working together on a certain project. Also, like I said, like some people, like Toko, for example, we just really enjoy talking also. So even outside of just enjoying like each other's work and art, we also just enjoy talking and stuff. So I always appreciate the creators who reach out and actually like want to chat and stuff like that. It's always nice, being able to share ideas and get inspiration from each other.
For sure.
Then also just some of like the giantess like real life creators. Pearl, yourself, of course. Also like of course, Arctic Goddess. She does a lot of boy stuff. S Violet. She's a good friend of mine. May Merciless. And there's just like so many people. Like I could literally just go on and on. If I didn't mention anyone here, it's not because like I don't appreciate their stuff. It's just like there's so many people that like I would have to make like 4 or 5 Twitter posts just to like list everyone.
Of course, dear. Yeah, I'm sure people understand. Actually, hopefully we will get Arctic Goddess on the show. I shot her a message a few days ago. She says she is super busy, so I won't hold my breath, but we do have actually, I'll go ahead and tell viewers at home, I do have Giantess Aliana going to be on later this week, which I mentioned earlier, but I also have Giantess B. She's going to be joining us on the show.
Nice.
I'm very excited.
They're both great.
Huh?
I just said they're both great.
Yeah. And that's one thing, like, I've mentioned in the past that I wish I had more Giantess friends. It's just usually I don't know. I try reaching out and then it's just like an automatic shutdown. So I'm like, okay. So I don't know what's wrong with you.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. Like, a lot of people are just kind of either in their own space, and sometimes it can be hard to reach out to people or to want to interact. I mean, I try and make friends when I can, but at the same time, though, sometimes I'm not in the mood to want to be very chatty or sociable. So sometimes, I might see someone message me and just be like, "I'll get to them later." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because sometimes if you have too many social interactions going on, I'm one of those people where I consider myself an extroverted introvert, where I very much like being with friends and like talking to people and being engaging in conversations, but then also I need time once my battery runs low. I need time to myself to recharge. I don't really want to talk, So I think people just kind of go in, different moods depending on, where they're at. And especially right now with everything going on currently, in the world. We don't want to go into it probably. I think it's important for people to have an escape and also to focus on themselves and not be too worried about, everything.
Yeah. Hey, that's why I'm happy for social media, especially because what currently is going on. It's actually, I don't know, I've kept pretty good spirits, with the exception of financial stuff, but hopefully things will get better in that light. So, has to be doing a drum roll.
Okay.
What are the projects that you're working on?
Okay, so this is really exciting. I'm gonna eventually, in probably the next month or two, do like official announcement on my Twitter. But I'll say here for you and the viewers, ManSquishers is ManSquishers, me. I am working on a ManSquishers visual novel. So like a video game.
Nice.
And I'm super excited. I'm working with Toko Giantsu, as well as a musician in the community, Lord Ludi, and it is just so much fun to be able to, get art of these characters and get basically sprites. If you've ever played, have either of you ever played or heard of Phoenix Wright?
I've seen it.
What is it?
Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Oh, yeah. I played that on DS, yeah.
So if you've ever seen it, imagine that kind of thing where it's from the waist up, and you have characters talking directly to you, and you can interact. And eventually, I want to implement an item system where they can give you items, and then you can do different things with those items. But depending on the scenario, it takes place in the Baker Bar, so kind of the whole aspect. The idea is that you essentially have done something to warrant you needing to work off a debt at the bar. So you're going to be basically a part-timer at the bar for I don't know whether a week or a month, however long I want the game in-game,
eternity.
Yeah. And, you play through each day, and each day you have different scenarios that you can talk to the different girls, different things happen. You can get different cutscenes depending on, what happens. And something I want to do is, so Toko Giantsu is the one doing the actual, character assets in the backgrounds. But then I want to commission other artists in the community to do the cutscenes.
Oh,
so
very
the
cool.
art will look different, and I'm hoping that it works well enough that it people like it and it's not too jarring. But I really wanted something where, for one, doing all of the art, including the character assets and all the cutscenes, would be a lot for one artist to do.
Yeah.
Especially because Toko Giantsu still actually takes other commissions and has their own job and stuff, so they're not constantly working on this. So while they do the character assets, if I have an idea for a certain scene, I can have a different artist do the scene, and then it's almost like a reward for like you doing a scene with a character where you get to see the art of them, whatever the scenario is, and it's all from first-person perspective. And yeah, it's just like really fun to be able to bring these characters to life, and like I feel like everything I've done so far with ManSquishers has kind of led up to this, where I've been able to build out the characters and develop them and get like good ideas for them and give people a sense of who they are. And now I can make a neat game where you're actually able to talk with them, meet them, get to know them. And while yes, obviously the size stuff will be very much a part of it. It's not going to be like a lot of those games where that's like 100% the main focus. Honestly, it's going to be like half that, and the other half is actually going to be getting to know the characters and like getting to care about them and to learn more about them and stuff like that. So I want people to genuinely like the characters as opposed to just kind of looking at it because they want smut. You know what I mean? Like that's not all it is. It's more about the characters, and then the other stuff is just kind of like a nice added bonus. You know what I mean?
That sounds super awesome. My goodness.
Thank you. Yeah, so and that's going to take a long time. But the reason why I say a month or two is because in the next month or two, I might have a full demo for one scene, not for the whole game, but for one scene to show people so that people can see if they like it or not. And if they just want to follow my Twitter, great. But then if they want to support, they can go on the Patreon and support that way to basically make it so that we can get more music, more art, more everything. Because basically, the more support we get there, the more that I can work on it, the more we can get other artists to contribute work. And yeah, I'm just really excited, and I hope that people like it.
That is, yeah, that's spectacular.
Thank you.
If you want any free art from me for the project, I'd be more than happy to do something for you.
I'll talk to you about it. I would love to do some kind of collaboration.
Yeah, that'd be great. Had you thought about doing voice acting for it? Like,
yes.
I know there's a lot of people in the community that would be more than happy, myself included. But I know there are people that would want to do it, and probably for free. I mean,
so the funny thing is that's actually one of my number one things is I hope to get enough funding eventually where I basically right now I have enough to barely cover the art and the music each month, but I actually the musician is just starting out. Like this is like his first like some of his first music gigs, kind of like collaboration working together on this. So we're working out like how we do it together, but then eventually, like honestly, I want to be paying him even more because I think that he deserves more as being a musician and stuff. I just don't have enough to be paying him what I think he really should be, and so that's why like I'm saying like the more support we get, I want to be able to. I don't want to ask anyone to do anything for free or for less than what I believe they should be paid for. I want to be able to pay artists like not just their commission but plus tip and like what I mean like you said it's nice that you would want to do it for free, but at the same time though I wouldn't want you to do it for free. I would want to be able to pay you for your work, and I think that's how everyone should be going into these kind of projects. I always hate it when I see people asking for free stuff or for whatever. I know that happens all the time with people, content creators, and they'll be like, hey, can I get a free pick, or can I get this or that, and yeah.
I think if people are offering to do it for free to help out, I mean,
that's true. But
because this is a loving community, and there are people who are like, well, I might not be able to support your Patreon every month, but I could do this for you to help make your dream come true.
Well, and that's very nice of you, and I think that's definitely a good way of looking at it. I think that the way that I think because I've seen so many people get either ripped off or be treated poorly for what they do. I think at this point, a nice way that I look at it is that, by me giving money to someone, it's a nice way of being like, hey, I like what you do, and like, you should keep doing it. Here's something for you to kind of help you be inspired to keep doing what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean that's like anyone who wants to work with me on it, send me a DM, let me know, and I'd love to talk about it. Like I said, I have actually considered doing voice acting. I actually personally don't want to voice. I don't want to voice act the whole project because for one, that'd be really expensive, but also I want people to get an idea of what the characters sound like. But
Yeah.
like. So, for example, the voicing I do want, and I've actually had someone, I've already commissioned someone in the community to do one of my characters.
Nice.
Essentially, I'm doing like voice clips where it's not like they're not saying whole sentences, but it's more like if you see a character for the first time, they'll say like, "Hi there,"
Right.
and then like they'll talk, but they won't like say the actual voice lines.
Okay.
So, yeah, just doing little voice clips. It's nice because then you can still imagine what they're like saying in your head, but at least you hear like a clip of their voice and you're like, oh, okay, that's how they sound,
Right. Yeah. I've seen video games do that before, where it's just it's only essential times when you hear them talk, and the rest of it's text scrolling.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, that's amazing. I'll definitely make sure to post a link to Man Squishers on the YouTube video. And we are coming to the segment of, or the part of the show, rather, where we ask you 2 truths and a lie, and we have to guess which one is the fib. And if I know, okay, so like last night we played with Sheik the Geek. I've been friends with him for like over a decade, so I wasn't allowed to, answer it. So if there's something that gives it away, and I know that it's a lie, I'll let him guess.
Okay.
I know you're gonna guess regardless.
I don't think either of you should know any of this.
Oh.
We'll see. So my 2 truths and a lie is I can't physically burp. I've published a book, and I used to do anchoring for a news show.
That's tricky.
This is tough.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So I'll go through it one more time.
Yeah.
I physically can't burp. I published a book, and I used to do anchoring for a news show.
Got any soda? That's me cheating to see if he can burp.
I'm not going to demonstrate anything for
Yeah.
you.
Oh my God, this is. I'll say the lie is you were a news anchor on a news show. What do you think?
I guess the lie. I can only think of the first one. I guess the burp. I don't know if it's possible or not to not be able to, but I'm gonna go with
Okay.
that.
No, there are people. No, Devin, he can't burp. He like burps like once a year.
Yeah, but
And that's
it's not
it.
physically possible.
Well, okay, all right.
I don't know.
We'll see.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah.
Okay. You're both wrong.
Oh.
I haven't published a book.
Oh.
Benefit of the doubt there.
So but yeah, I basically can't burp. Just like obviously maybe when I was a toddler, but like in general though, even when I drink a lot of soda or whatever, I get something really weird where I actually make like a croaking sound. The like carbonation still bubbles, but instead of coming out as a burp, it like resonates in my chest. So like it doesn't come out fully. It just like gurgles down here, and then it comes up and out, and just makes me do a croaking noise. So I can't actually fully burp. And the best part about it is I've had people call me out on it and say like that's BS and that like that's not real. But then one time someone did that, and then we went to a movie together with friends, and the guy who said I was lying happened to be sitting next to me, and I got a free soda at the movie theater, and I didn't want to say no to like free stuff, and I normally don't drink soda, so I was like, all right, fine, I guess I'll drink it. So I was drinking it, and then halfway through the movie, I started making the croaking noises, and the guy looks at me slowly, like I see his face slowly, and he goes, "No effing way!" And it was just like so great to see him like react like that. So yeah, no, it's real. So that happened.
So you're saying one of my first goals, if I go to SciCon 2021, is getting a soda in you, so I can hear you croak.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. This is now my like number one top on the priority list. Like running into SciCon, tackling you, and just like shoving a soda down your throat, like.
Not even saying hello, just
Yeah.
soda.
Oh, by the way, hi. Yeah, do the noise. No.
And then technically, I have done some anchoring. It wasn't for like like national news, station or anything.
Yeah.
But in college, we had a news show that we did for the campus.
Oh, cool.
And it was all about like geek culture and stuff. So anything dealing with like video games or anything like that. So I would sit behind a desk like an actual news anchor, and I would read off lines off like a teleprompter and stuff.
That's super awesome. And this reminds me, before we started the show, you had mentioned about doing podcast stuff before, because Jess showed me earlier he's got a nice mic, and I'm like, what's that for? And he's like, I used to do podcasts.
That's why I didn't think the last one was alive.
So
oh, right.
For that, when I was in college, I did a lot of different kind of media. So not only did I do like some stuff in front of the camera, like video work and stuff, but then also we did podcasts. So we would do podcasting for different like video games or different like movies we were interested in, like a movie review podcast and stuff like that. So we just did. We were like, it was basically like one giant like media company almost, where we would do like podcasts, videos, news shows, stuff like that. So we did a little bit of everything, and so I think that's part of why I like doing this sort of thing.
That's super cool. Yeah, you've been a treat to have on the show. You're very articulated. You have a lot to share.
Thank you.
Very awesome. I've loved you as a guest.
What was that again?
Oh, I said I've loved you as a guest. It's been great talking to you. I mean, and for those of you who don't know, this is the first time I've talked to Jess on camera, so it's been a huge treat.
Thank you. Oh, that's really nice to hear. I mean, honestly, before this, I was really nervous. Just meeting someone for the first time, and also knowing that people would be watching this and stuff. But no, I mean, it was really nice. You made it easy to be comfortable on camera and just to chat. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you like some of the stuff I've talked about.
Oh, absolutely.
And the stuff with Man Squishers. So it means a lot. The whole reason why I do what I do is obviously it's a creative outlet for me. But I wouldn't be making this if people didn't like it. So the fact that people have shown an interest in it, it's made me want to keep doing it and to keep making better things. You know what I mean? So thanks. I appreciate it.
That's fantastic. And actually, are you selling your Man Squisher shirts?
No, I'm not. But in the future, though, people can look out for it, because I joked with a friend, and I actually might do something where we do some merchandising with the logo, whether we put it on T-shirts or coffee mugs or whatever. I think it would be amazing to me, because I always like to pretend that the biker bar is like a real place. So the fact that people could be out there owning things with the logo on it, that would be like amazing. That would be like mind blowing to me.
Oh yeah.
So we might do something in the future, but for now, I'm just happy that people like the universe and are interested in seeing more of it.
Heck yeah. So we have one final question for you for the interview.
Sure.
And this can be a very selfish answer to what I'm about to ask. If you had one wish, what would it be? It can be anything, and please don't be like, I wish the coronavirus would go away. No. But we want it to be a selfish question about, or like a selfish wish. Here's your
will.
wish.
I know it's
Food.
funny. My first reaction when I read that question was obviously the super stereotypical answer of like, I would want a shrink. And
Yeah,
then,
I
you
like
know, all
that
of that.
super
Like,
stereotypical answer, because that's...
I know you want that. But here, I'm something even better. So, like, yes, I very much want that. But the more I thought about it, I realized I could get that and more by wishing that the number one thing I would want is for the Man Squishers Biker Bar to actually be real.
Mm.
So all the characters and the establishment and stuff like that, I want that to be real because then technically anyone who from the size community who's interested in this stuff could go there and still get their wish, you know. So it would be not just a selfish wish for me, but then for other people, you know, they also get what they want.
If that were the case, I would have to force myself in to become an employee. I will just like, I will file my own paperwork. Do you need a blood test or social security number? I don't think this is a safe idea. Still safe.
I've done like commissions of like other people's characters getting like full-time or part-time jobs at the Man Squishers Biker Bar.
Oh, that's so awesome.
It's so nice to like bring other people into it and like get them, you know, involved, and it's always fun because you know, anyone technically, you know, could be an employee there. So it's always great seeing people you know, show an interest in wanting to be a fellow, you know, Man Squisher. Which, by the way, I say it like that. Something funny is a slogan by Jesse is that we might be called Man Squishers, but we are accepting of all you know, genders and of everyone. So we don't just squish men. You know, it's everyone gets equal treatment.
Yay! Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, that will conclude the interview for today. Again, thank you so much. You're super awesome having join us on the interview.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Incredible shrinking show.
Thank you both for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'd love to have you back on the show sometime. So.
Of course, let me know.
All right, hun. Well, have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.